I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is the Senate Transportation Committee. And we have been taking a lot of testimony on inspections. And we welcome to our public hearing for the changes to the DMV inspection manual and S.211, which is the 2-year inspection bill. We are talking about, as a committee, adding language to the miscellaneous DMV bill on the inspection manual. And so that will be the focus of what we're taking testimony on tonight. My name's Rich Westman. I'm the senator from Lamoille and the chair of the Transportation Committee. And my colleagues are...
Good evening, Wendy Harrison. I represent the Wyndham District.
Good evening. Thanks for coming out. I'm Andrew Perchlik. I represent Washington District.
And I'm Becca White, and I represent the Windsor County District, and I'm the vice chair of the committee.
And Pat Brennan, I represent Grand Isle County and Colchester.
From this hearing, each person will have 3 minutes. Matt will run the timer, and Matt's with Ledge Council over here. And Senator White will call the names of each person. She'll call the immediate person, and then she will also say the name of the next person that will speak after that. If you are testifying on Zoom today, please mute yourself and keep your camera off until it is your turn to speak. When it is your turn to testify, please unmute yourself and turn your camera on and begin speaking. If this is your first public hearing, please note that our job as legislators is to simply listen to your testimony. We will not be asking questions during the hearing. Finally, if your time is up and you have more you'd like us to know, please submit your testimony via email to Megan Canella, who is our staff person in transportation. And I would tell you that I always do what Megan tells me. So, and we want to thank everybody for coming. So if you wanted to start the list.
Yes, and I want to start also by apologizing if I butcher your name. Please correct it. First up, we have Liam Hogan from Barrytown, and then on deck, we have Ike DeBoulet from Essex Junction on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Liam Hogan. I'm a resident of Southbury, Vermont, and I own Hogan Group LLC, a Vermont-based web design and development. I'm here today in support of moving from annual vehicle inspections to inspections every 2 years, and to encourage consideration of more flexible compliance model. Each year, it becomes harder for many Vermonters to afford inspection-related repairs. While the sticker itself may be modest, the repairs required to pass inspection can quickly cost hundreds and sometimes over $1,000. At the same time, more Vermonters are driving older vehicles, not by preference, but because newer vehicles are increasingly unaffordable. As vehicle prices rise, families are relying on higher mileage cars that are more likely to need work to pass inspection. When that happens every single year, it creates recurring financial strain. In some cases, that strain leads to people to delay or skip inspections altogether because they simply cannot afford the repairs at that moment. That puts residents in a difficult position, risk driving without a valid inspection, receiving a ticket, or lose access to transportation entirely. In a rural state like Vermont, a vehicle is not optional. It is essential for work, healthcare, and daily life. I would also encourage consideration of a conditional pass-off for non-critical issues. where a vehicle could receive a sticker along with a written notice identifying items that should be repaired within a reasonable timeframe. That approach maintains accountability and safety awareness without immediately sidelining someone's only means of transportation. This is not about lowering safety standards. It is about balancing safety with economic reality and ensuring compliance remains achievable for working Vermonters. I respectfully urge the committee to consider moving to inspections every 2 years and exploring more flexible compliance options. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Yes, and usually we don't react as a group.
I might say thank you.
Yeah, we say thank you. Ike DeBolay, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Ike from Essex Junction, who is on Zoom. If that person is not available, Will Dodge of Fairhaven Motors, Fairhaven, you're up. And then after that is Isaiah Casey from Westmore on Zoom.
Yes, my name is Will Dodge, and I own Fairhaven Motors in Fairhaven, Vermont. I've been in the automotive business in Vermont in one capacity or another for 50 years. That ranges from service manager, used car manager, new car dealer. The only exception to that was the year that I was in Florida, which has no state inspections in Florida. And I was in a position where I was taking vehicles in on a new car dealer and looking at 4, 5, 6-year-old cars that were coming in trade. They had no inspection. And I can assure you that those cars were much less safe than comparable vehicles in Vermont would be. But by that, I mean components of the front end, the suspension, tires, brakes, things like that. The last gentleman's point is well taken with the cost. I realize that, but this is for some people, but this is Vermont VSI. We're calling it Vermont State Inspection, but shouldn't it really be Vermont Safety Inspection? Isn't that what we're all here for? It makes vehicles roadways safe for Vermonters, whether they're driving or whether they're pedestrians. The whole issue here is time. The way we see it is vehicles that pass inspection today aren't necessarily going to be. They may make it a year, but are they going to make it 2 years? You know, the brakes are okay today for inspection, but 2 years from now they're not going to be. We take a lot of vehicles in for inspections that they're long overdue as it is now. People don't get inspections or registration stickers anymore. So there's a ton of cars out there that aren't registered. And if you start telling people that they've got 2 years to get their vehicle inspected, they're never going to do it. They're just going to put it off. Ever since COVID, there's been a drastic amount of confusion as to when vehicles are inspected and so on. Beyond that, there are things in the manual. I'm not as familiar with it as my service manager, certainly, but if you want to make things more affordable for your constituents, there are things like rusty pickup tires on Farmer Brown's truck that don't have anything to do with safety or as far as that goes. Take things like that away. When I was starting this business 100 years ago, the holes in the vehicle could not go into the passenger compartment. So that there wouldn't be any exhaust fumes and that kind of thing getting into the passenger compartment. And that's kind of fallen by the wayside. We're getting involved in a lot of things that we shouldn't be. So we need to go back and look at that basic. And at that time, inspections were every 6 months. So I would urge you to not bring in every other year, 2-year inspection. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just say Ike DeBolay, if you're there, we're happy to hear from you. Isaiah Casey from Westmore, also on Zoom. Oh, okay. Deborah Doyen from St. Johnsbury on Zoom.
Yes,
Apologies.
I'm here.
Yes, you're welcome to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and committee members. My name is Deborah Doyon, and I'm a native Vermonter, and I reside in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. I believe that the Vermont Vehicle Inspection Program is flawed and should be eliminated entirely. Requiring state inspections every other year is not going to solve the problem. It will only compound it. The costs associated with each inspection go well beyond the $50 to $75 fee for the inspection itself. They often include repairs mandated by inspection results, which are added financial burden on vehicle owners, and some of these repairs seem arbitrary and unnecessary. There is a significant conflict of interest when the individuals performing inspections also profit from the repairs. This arrangement raises serious questions about the objectivity and fairness of the process. I have experienced a situation where my 2-year-old vehicle failed inspection due to surface rust on some areas of the brake rotors. The inspection requirements state the presence of rust or pitting on brake rotors by itself does not constitute a failure for the purpose of the annual safety inspection required under 23 VSA section 1222. I took my car to another mechanic to validate this finding, and they agreed that it was only surface rust, no pitting, and not on areas where the brakes contact the rotors. However, because my vehicle was flagged as failed in the inspection system, I was unable to obtain an override and pass the inspection. My options were to drive with an expired inspection sticker and risk fines, or to pay approximately $1,600 for new brakes and rotors to ensure passing the inspection. I felt my options were unfair and that I was being taken advantage of within the current system. Additionally, I encountered issues with required repairs, such as having the brake pads installed improperly, and the braking problems when aftermarket parts were put on instead of the OEM parts that I requested. It took 6 weeks and multiple visits to correct this issue. And I want to make it clear that my vehicle had dealer-installed components and was braking great prior to the inspection. The inspection process did not make my car any safer. Changing the inspection frequency to every other year does not address the systemic problem. It is merely a superficial change, and I see it as just rearranging the deck chairs. A straightforward solution would be to eliminate vehicle inspections altogether. But if inspections are to continue, they should be conducted by independent, state-operated facilities with no ties to repair shops to prevent these clear conflicts of interests. I urge the legislator to consider these issues and to take action to reduce the financial burden on Vermont residents. And if you need video, photos, or receipts, I can provide them for you. Thank you very much for considering my testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have, again, if Ike or Isaiah show up, you're welcome to raise your hand, flag us down. But next up, we have Noel Westbaum of the Source Foreign Cars in Berlin. And then on deck is Representative Daniel Noyes of Walcott.
Good evening. My name is Noelle Westbaum. I work as a service writer for the Source Foreign Cars, a locally owned garage here in the capital city. I attended the Central Vermont Career Center's automotive technology program when I was in school. I am here tonight on behalf of my employer to speak in opposition to this bill. In preparation for this statement, I read several other opinions on this matter. One really interesting point I read was in terms of vehicle safety, vehicles are safer than ever because of these better, quote, crumple zones for passenger safety and impacts, and better driver assist programs like blind spot and lane detection, lane departure warnings. However, this doesn't change the fact that vehicle inspections every 2 years instead of every year will lead to more dangerous vehicles on the road. The reality for state inspection stations is that many vehicles only come once a year for the inspection sticker. This is increasingly true as newer vehicles often have extended oil change intervals. In the past, oil changes were necessary every 3,000 or 5,000 miles, and garages would have an opportunity to look for other safety concerns at the same time. However, many new cars only need their oil changed every 10,000 miles, which has the side effect that maintenance of wear parts like brakes, tires, and suspension is often neglected in the meantime. And we see customers for state inspections with tires that have cords showing or brake pads that have worn to the metal backing. If unchecked any longer, these parts would provide serious danger to the drivers as well as other road users. To put this in better perspective, the average driver travels between 12 and 15,000 miles a year. With inspections every other year, this would mean about 24 to 30,000 miles between inspection intervals. With rust, hills, mud, and other factors that make Vermont roads more hazardous than other areas, this is close to the estimated life of brake parts and over half of the estimated lifespan of tires. For example, if we're required to pass brake pads at the current inspection threshold with the expectation that drivers may use them for 2 more years, this would likely result in brake failure long before the next inspection was due. On the other hand, if the inspection standards for these brakes were changed to accommodate for a 2-year interval, we would be required to fail parts that had plenty of life left, which is a financial strain on customers as well as a poor environmental practice. I'm very concerned by the suggestion to loosen regulations for tires, especially with the proposed 2-year inspection. The suggestion to pass any tires that do not have deep cuts or visible cords is very dangerous. Most tires will be worn past the point of safety long before they reach this point. And anyone who's driven in a Vermont winter can understand the importance of traction on our roads. Even tires right on the threshold for the current inspection standard may be unsafe by the next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Daniel Noyes is up, and then after that, we have Rep. Ken Wells.
Thank you, Chair Westman and members of the committee for taking the time to hear my concerns about Vermont's vehicle inspection requirements. While I believe Vermont should consider following the lead of states that do not mandate annual inspections, I recognize the competing interests at play. The Transportation Fund relies on revenue to maintain our roads and bridges. There is also a longstanding belief that inspections are needed to promote safety, and many small businesses across our state depend on this work. Those realities matter. At the same time, we do not stop vehicles at our border when visitors arrive from states without inspection requirements. We expect, as we do of all drivers, that vehicles operating on Vermont roads are safe, and we already have laws in place to address unsafe equipment. This raises a reasonable question about whether annual state mandate is the only way to achieve that goal. Owning and maintaining a vehicle is expensive, particularly in rural communities where cars are essential. I firmly believe drivers should keep their vehicles in safe working order and take responsibility for maintenance, whether that means learning basic upkeep or bringing their vehicle to a trusted mechanic. The issue is not whether cars should be safe, they absolutely should, but whether the state must require an annual inspection to ensure the outcome. I appreciate the thoughtful changes Commissioner Collier has proposed and support moving forward with an expedited rulemaking process. I would also suggest several other adjustments, eliminating the high beam indicator light requirement, moving certain instrument cluster issues to advisory rather than automatic failure, allowing vehicle frames to be repaired by welders with an appropriate certification, and ensuring rust on non-structural components is not a cause for rejection. I support S.211 as introduced by the senator from Windsor as an important first step, particularly in rural Vermont, who feel the accumulated impact of annual inspection costs. If we are serious about addressing affordability and the cost of living, these small, reoccurring expenses do add up for working families. I would also encourage including directing the Agency of Natural Resources to pursue amendments to our state implementation plan with the Northeast Ozone Transportation Region, so emission compliance can move to every other year, and explore how other states in the region achieve federal compliance without relying on annual inspection mandates. Finally, I recognize it would not be in the best interest of Vermont to undermine the Transportation Fund. If the committee moves towards a mile-based user fee in the future, emission compliance could be included in a sworn affidavit, verified through OBT2 scan at an auto shop, a dealer, or a parts provider to ensure emission systems are functioning properly while reducing costs and maintaining accountability. Thank you for your consideration as we work to balance safety, environment, responsibility, and affordability for Vermonters. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Next up, we have Representative Ken Wells from Brownington, and on deck is Newton Wells from Morristown.
Thank you, Chair, and Madam Assistant Chair. I used to work for the automotive business, so we ran into a lot of inspection obstacles over the years. These are a few bullet points. Inspections catch life-threatening mechanical problems like tire tread separation, structural frame rust, brake failure, things that a driver can never see on their own. Reduced income for shops that perform these inspections, keeping our roadways safer. It costs them a lot of money to not have those inspections. Environmental compliance. Inspections would make sure vehicles meet emission standards. If they go 2 years, anybody that's pushing a green campaign has to be against that because that's going to create more pollution. Community benefits, stringent inspection standards will contribute to fewer abandoned or unsafe floating time bombs on the road, improving overall public safety at all times. Not inspecting your vehicle would be like skipping your yearly physical to school humans. The yearly inspection keeps your vehicle running at its best. With all that said, I certainly do not want a $2,500 bill because a light on your dash is on or 6 inches of body rust fails you for the inspection. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wells. Up next, another Wells, assuming not related, Newton Wells. Not related. And then after that, we have Alexander Knight of Alberg.
All right, well, good evening, folks. Thank you for your time and your patience as we all beat the same dead horse. My name is Newton Wells. I'm from Morristown. I like safe cars. I'm such a proponent of studded snow tires that my friends say I suffer from snow tire use disorder. I tell them just use the acronym and I'm okay with that. Being nothing more than a safety item, snow tires are not even required by state inspection. I suppose state inspection has its benefits though. The question here today is, do those benefits outweigh the costs to working Vermonters? For people who can buy new cars, state inspection is nothing to worry about. For many working Vermonters, they don't have that luxury. If you're driving a 4,000 car you bought on Marketplace with 200,000 miles on it, and you need that car to get to work, get to the doctor, or take care of your family, inspection time is stressful and expensive, often unnecessarily expensive. There are plenty of Vermonters who live this reality. As vehicles become more complex, inspection has become less about safety and more about technical issues. With my last truck, I'd have to replace 2 or 3 sensors every year at $300 or $400 a piece. The associated systems were in good shape. The catalytic converter worked as it should, and the exhaust system was tight. But the O2 sensors would fail every time, requiring annual replacement to pass state inspection, just because of that dash. When I took my current truck in for inspection last summer, it needed brakes, tires, and exhaust, all safety items. I dropped the estimated $3,500 to get it inspected, but when I went to pick it up, they said it just needed one last thing, the little blue indicator light that tells me that the high beams are on. For this, it would need to go to the dealer in Burlington, on the other side of the mountain, to have the dashboard removed to fix it. I drew the line. The truck is safe, but I had to choose between breaking state law and dropping another $1,000 on an unnecessary fix. We know this comes down to revenue, and that the state is currently using all of the purchase and use tax, including that from vehicles, to fund education, leaving a hole in the transportation budget that we need to maintain our roads. Why not take the $8 the state gets from inspections and add it to the registration fee? Inspections cost 10 to 100 times that $8 in unnecessary repairs. This is a regressive tax on working Vermonters. Vehicle maintenance should be a personal responsibility, and driving a car that is not safe is already illegal anyway. It's time to end the sticker extortion. S.211 is a step in the right direction. Please support this bill that will make Vermont more affordable for working people. And thanks again.
Thank you, Newt.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Next up, we have Alexander Knight of Alberg, and then on deck is Jacques Lefrancois from Milton on Zoom.
Good evening. I'm Al Knight of Alberg. Over the course of the last 3 years, I've cultivated a protest group with the intention of removing Vermont vehicle inspections. We started as a group of 30 people and today measure over 3,000 people across the state, with recent growth rates exceeding 9% per week. At this time, low, middle, and no income Vermonters are being victimized by a broken and unjustified vehicle inspection system. It has been proven that state inspections do little to nothing for road safety. Most accidents are caused by operator error. S.211 is a half measure that delays inspections for those who don't need and can't afford them by a year rather than removing them altogether. The bill that makes sense for Vermonters at this time is H690, which would be completely justified and statistically supported in removing the burden of state vehicle inspection requirements for all road vehicles under 14,000 pounds. I have multiple copies and a PDF has been provided of a study funded by Brigham Young University with me today that verify my statements. I would encourage you to read it. I would be more than happy to share it or discuss the matter with anyone who would like more information. I encourage you to table S.211 and to do the right thing for Vermonters by voting yes on H690 to eliminate vehicle inspections for most non-commercial vehicles. That's all I got for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would, just two things. I would say if you have materials you want to share with the committee, I
I believe you
believe.
guys have been provided with a PDF.
Go to Megan.
by Megan. Anybody else would like a physical copy? I have.
Thank you.
And then this is, so Jacques Lefrancois from Milton, you're on Zoom. And then we have David Ellenbogen from Callis, also on Zoom. And then after that, we have no other assigned folks. So I don't know.
At that point, I will ask if there's anyone else in the room that would like to speak.
So Jacques Lefrancois, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
That is correct. Thank you for allowing this time. Background on myself, I started in the automotive industry in 1991, working at new and used car dealerships. And I have been had a Vermont state inspection license for about 20 years, plus or minus, and have been in the car business until about 2019. One of my reasons for participating today is after I got out of the car business and depended on other shops to inspect my cars, I was, let's say, dismayed at the interpretation of the inspection manual and what was considered a failure. And after bringing some of these interpretations to the attention of the shop, all of a sudden my car passed without not an issue. Additionally, about 39 states, I believe it is, do not do state safety inspections. And while I believe this bill's in the right direction, I'm with the other folks that believe that, like most other states, we should just eliminate the Vermont safety inspections on that. My observations over the years are that the majority of the people bring their cars in for regular services. And even if you're in for an oil change or a tire change, you get a de facto safety inspection from the shop that would like to sell you some more work, looking over the same things. So often at no charge instead of a charge if you go in for an official state safety inspection. So I think the majority of the people on the road take responsibility for their vehicles, and there are just some folks out there that that just plain can't afford to maybe do everything to make their car 100%, but they still need to get to work. They still need to get to the grocery store. And obviously, as we know, in most places in Vermont, public transportation is not really a viable option. So I'm encouraged by the direction this is going, some of the things in the inspection manual that are proposed to be made advisory items instead of failure items. And you know, let's again, I encourage just abolishing the whole program. I have submitted separately a PDF that shows a study in the state of New Jersey that abolished inspections in 2010. That really there was no substantial increase in incidence or severity of any accidents, and that the whole program was financially not a responsible spending of government money. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Then we have David Ellenbogen from Callis on Zoom.
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm with the Vermont Sierra Club. I've served on the Transportation Committee. I was on the Executive Committee before. At one point, I was chair of the Vermont Sierra Club. And we oppose moving to 2 years on both environmental and safety grounds. Back in the 2000s, I studied at the Gund Institute, Ecological Economics. And there's the cost of air pollution and the cost of noise pollution, and both will increase if we switch to once every 2 years. And if you think noise pollution is not real, talk to somebody that lives on Route 100 in Stowe as motorcycles and trucks go by. The fact that these might be illegal vehicles doesn't mean that police are pulling them over. I spoke with my mechanic about this bill yesterday. His shop is within 2 miles of the State House, and he does not mind losing the business of doing inspections. He finds it somewhat of a nuisance. However, he pointed out to me the safety and environmental damage that will result from going 2 years instead of 1. And for example, within the motorcycle community, it's very easy to change out a muffler system, and to do that every year is more of a nuisance. Mufflers can get removed and put back on rather easily. So violating the state standards for mufflers on a motorcycle is easily done by somebody with mechanical inclination. Doing it every year to pass an inspection is more of a nuisance than going 2 years. All right, so there's the cost of inspection, and then there's the cost of hospitalization or death that can result from a crash. There's the cost of air pollution. There's the cost of noise pollution. Driving is a privilege, not a right, and cars cost money to own and maintain. It is not right to endanger others, including pedestrians, cyclists, farmers, and other vulnerable road users, to save a few bucks on inspections by going to every 2 years. So in the name of safety, in the name of minimizing air pollution, in the name of minimizing noise pollution, and in the name of minimizing the number of unsuitable vehicles on the road, we encourage you not to switch to biannual inspections. I'll stop there.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak? If you come up here and you need to state your name and same terms, 3 minutes, and then we'll see if there's anyone online.
Thank you for having me. I was out of town the last week. My name is Steve Doney. I own Hometown Tire and Auto.
Can you say your name one more time? I wonder. Steve.
Steve Doney, D-O-N-E-Y. Been in the automobile business for a long time. I used to buy cars from Will Dodge in Randolph, Vermont. Falls Auto Sales. Thank you, Will. I've been around for a long time. I own Hometown Tire and Auto in Williston, Vermont. And 51 years in the automobile business, 35 years employing 5 people. Going into you, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this, I doubt. A stitch in time saves 9. Now, you can't tell me, I see cars coming in, and I'm not for every 6 months, but if people like Miss Doyon, Mr. La Framboise or whatever, or a guy from Milton, they've been going to the wrong place. Let's find a good, honest guy, start from there. And I don't know dentistry. And evidently the first gentleman that talked does, and he's gone. Now, car business needs to be looked at by an honest person every year, because What about Toyota? When they recalled over 1,000 frames at Heritage, tens of thousands of frames in the Northeast. Now, do we all remember what a mess it was with cash for clunkers? Do we remember that? That is what's going to happen if we do not look at cars within 2 years. We are going to see the cars. Now, what makes a difference of a person going to a place and having a $200 repair or waiting to 2 years and have a $700 repair or $1,100 or $2,500 repair? I don't have many of them as we catch those stitches. Now, here's the thing. When you get into having a $2,000 repair, I take it extremely serious. I go over my customers, I look in the crystal ball, I tell them what may be happening in the future. And I'm aware of the way the roads are. I remember way back with Brian Searles and Sonny Audette and many of the people in the Chittenden County area. And Joe Flynn, his dad used to come to me. But bottom line is we have roads that are in rougher shape. And we have cars that we're seeing sway bar links by the drumful. And I don't put them on unless I need them. And I have people that have worked with me, 5 guys, and I have 2 of them that are 45 years old that have been with me for 27 years. They came out of the Bob Church, South Burlington, or Burlington now, Burlington, and they moved down to the Larry Karen building for a short time. But we are honest, and I think we're not getting looked at the way that we should be. We're going to the wrong place if we're not checking everything. And the other thing of it is just should be done every year. And stitching time saves 9. It's pretty simple.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Let me talk. I was vaccinated with a phonograph needle, so I have no problem. And I'm an auctioneer, so.
Sir, if you'd come up. Name and
Frank Keene, Keene's Garage, Chelsea. I'll take you back to the 60s when I was in high school. Excuse my voice. I have a little problem with sinuses. When I was in high school, we were inspecting every 6 months. It was cheaper to do it back then, but we found a lot of problems in just 6 months. When I opened my shop, May 11th, 1970, I started doing inspections right away. And soon after that, I became Vermont Dealer 588. So I had the best of both worlds. I recently gave up the inspection, so maybe I don't have a dog in the fight. But I would like to tell you what happened over the years. I had people come in for inspections. If I found a loose ball joint, if I found a loose tie rod, I would not inspect the car because I didn't plan on it going a year. I just recently bought a car at an auction that was inspected in August of last year. I brought it home and thoroughly went through it, had a loose ball joint. Maybe it would have made it till August, but it sure as hell wouldn't have made it till next August. So, I'm very opposed to it. I have people that would come in for oil changes. I would take the time to do a quick inspection, look around to see if there was anything else. I would find coil springs broke and rubbing on the front tire, ready to poke it. Tell them about it. They'd obviously want to get it fixed. So, brake lines, rust, there'll be brake lines that have rust on them. That don't mean they're not solid. You can tell, I'm a pretty good judge of character. I've been doing this for over 60 years. Tell your customers if you find something, let them know. Say, within a year, this probably isn't going to pass inspection again. You really need to think about looking for something else. You can't tell that 2 years. You can't tell what's going to happen in 2 years. Coming up here today, the roads from East Barry to Montpelier, I'll tell you what, I've seen plowed fields that are much smoother. And that takes a toll on struts and coils and tie rods and ball joints. Tell your customer if he's got a rusty exhaust system, say, you know what? It'll pass, but a little later on, it's going to have a problem. You're going to hear noises. So I think that's about all I have to say, except that I am deathly opposed to 2-year inspections. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, can you help us, Megan? Is there anyone online that might like to testify? Can we,
Gabriel Cole, if you're on Zoom still, we're happy to hear your testimony. Yeah, this is.
Testifying, you may have an additional statement.
Hi, Mr. Cole. Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted. Oh.
you're still muted. Now you're muted.
Say something.
Can you hear us?
Oh, but we can't hear you, unfortunately, I don't think. Yeah.
We
Okay.
can't hear you. Yep, you're
Yes.
welcome. You're welcome to submit testimony. I don't know how to help you if we can't hear you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we do accept written testimony as well.
Yeah,
She's, you gotta help her. Well, if you wanna turn your video off and try again in like 5 minutes, maybe log out and log back in, then we can try again. Yeah, I think that's what it's doing.
Anybody here?
Did you, no, I have a constituent in the audience, so.
This
Come up here and give us your name and
It's Kevin, I've been in the business 40 years, ANS Auto, Westport, Vermont. And I believe that inspections are very important. We have a lot of cars on the road that are Subarus especially, with rust K-frames, A-frames. The biggest issue I've seen with all this inspection stuff all of a sudden is the last 5 years, no one had to do it. It hasn't been enforced. I'm telling you, you take any of these old cars and you put 15,000 miles on them a year, things are gonna go wrong. It's mechanical. You can't change that. Cars back in the 70s and 80s, you'd be lucky to get 60,000 miles out of them. They were junk. Now we're running these cars 200,000+ miles. Over these roads in Vermont, we've had a worse winter this winter than we have had, of course. And the manufacturers, as far as rust goes, cars are just made to rust. They don't, they're just not like they used to be. It's that simple. And most Vermonters don't even wash the cars. Really want to be honest about it. And I inspect cars, obviously. I don't really care if I do or not. I'm mandated by the state of Vermont to do so. But you have to explain every day you go into. And I've used a lot of common sense in my time of doing this. Rust on the brake order, that's really, a lot of shops have really taken advantage of this. It's the tablet. The tablet made these guys be able to, state of Vermont says I have to do this. Well, the rules have been the same for forever. It's just now they got this to say, hey, we got to do this. So these people are all being taken advantage of. There's nobody in the Department of Motor Vehicles that will stand up for any of these people. You can call there and they will actually laugh at you. And that's just not right. We had a woman in here last week. They said $3,000 to fix her 2018 Malibu, the check engine light, $37 purge valve. I put in it, I said, come back next week, gotta run this course to get back to where it's supposed to. And guess what I did today? I inspected that woman's car. So what I'm telling you is, if the state of Vermont would stand up to all these places that are taking advantage of all these people, we wouldn't have half the problem we got. It's that simple. It really is that simple, and it just needs to be done. But I've talked to people over there, and I've got one guy, particularly, that he laughs, which makes me very happy. And I've stated it, and yeah, it's just a tough deal. I think that it's not so much shops, so much taking advantage of all of them. But you take the big ones. I'm going to give you a good one for it down here. So you just take these big dealerships, got 5,000 sell 5,000 cars a year. I figured roughly it costs them $65 a piece for having their employee inspect these cars, and they're giving them for free. That's over $300-something thousand a year they're giving away. You really believe that? Absolutely not. Think about that one.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
I didn't catch his last name. I didn't
What-
catch your
what?
last name, Kevin. I'm sorry.
David,
Thank you.
I think it, Gabriel, are you back? Can you?
Yes,
Oh, there
I'm
you
here.
go. You got 3 minutes.
I don't need 3 minutes, but I want to agree with that last gentleman. The dealerships are taking advantage of Vermonters by offering free inspections. And I see it all the time that customers of mine go to the dealership for their free inspection and have a $2,000 or $3,000 bill, and then they come to us and we find the problem, and it's $600 or $800 or $200 or whatever it might be, but a fraction of the cost. I think that is something that should be addressed. But my biggest point that I'd like to make is rust, and rust is the biggest problem in Vermont. And I think that your time all would be better served addressing the rust problem. And one idea I had is a state-sponsored rust prevention program. Maybe at AOT garages or something, they could do a undercoat at a lesser charge than a normal garage. Undercoating is huge. We need to promote that more than anything. I was kind of shocked to read that. Let me see if I can pull it up. I was kind of shocked to read what you guys had written about the tires and things like that. It just seemed silly to me. But that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Did you?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
First, I'd like to ask a question for you. Have you got a list of all states that don't inspect vehicles? You do.
We
We do. We have all of that, so.
Another one mentioned it. Everything someone said here is right on.
Do you mind?
John Peters,
And you're from?
Concord. I talked to you last week.
Oh,
We'll have to talk again.
yes.
Everyone's done a great job talking. I'm not a very good public speaker, especially when I'm on camera and people around me. Rust problem is a big problem. That last guy, I thought he was right on about doing some of the rust. My biggest problem with inspections is trusting the person that does it. I go to a place, I will not admit to it, to where I go. I go every year, charge me $70. Doesn't even look at the lights. Okay? Now he knows me and I know him, and I keep track of my own vehicle. Maybe he knows that. I was on my way to Lebanon, New Hampshire, on Route 4, just before you get to Fat Hat. There was a young girl there with a flat tire. I stopped to help her. She was probably 17 or 18 on her way to work on a Saturday morning. Well, I looked at her car. She had some tires in the back seat, but the two tires that were on the passenger side were down to the wire. I jacked the car up and the ball joints were shot. Just about ready to fall off. And I told her that I fixed it. We need to get some air in the mobile station there. And I said, go slow to work, don't let that, and I'll follow you, go slow. And I felt so bad for her, I looked at my wallet, I had two $5 bills. I gave that to her. So it's trusting the person to do it. And what it's gonna cost. I mean, I had a sensor on my truck, got back from out west there this summer, and the brakes weren't working on my trailer. I took it down to, what was it, T Chevrolet, White River. And they said, well, it's probably the module for the brakes. That's what they thought it was. But we won't know until we put it on the computer. Okay? And between the module and put it on the computer was $300. You know, I know cars are expensive, they're getting more and more expensive. But something else has got to come down. I mean, I'm for inspections every year, but it's not, I was in here town, and the same thing in Woodstock. A guy I know has an older truck, and both this in here in town and this one behind the rear fender on the driver's side was completely rusted out. The cops are not enforcing it. And the sticker I got, I just bought a brand new, I got the truck I went out west with, it's 2014, never saw the salt, and I've had it on cold twice. I just got a new truck, and I'm not to add to my ones I have. And the sticker on it is faded. The sticker was 1 month old, and you can't hardly read it. Same with the sticker I got 8 months ago. Can't read it. So there's another problem. These stickers are being printed in the shop. So there's a problem there. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I think we've covered everyone and we thank you all for coming. It's our intention to work on both the issues from DMV and the manual and work on 211 and then decide exactly where we are as a committee. And we should have something out by the end of the week. But we're going to wrestle with this issue and we thank you very much for helping us with that tonight. One short thing.
Okay. I think it's so much more accurate if you would have chatted, our representative would have chatted in your area, more of us guys that are actually owners of the shops. Actually, I think this gentleman said it correct, with like key and so on and so forth. When I look at a car, when he looks at a car, two different eyeballs. So, on an individual basis, I think we could be heard a lot more accurate than we can here saying, I had a bad time at a place and we shouldn't have inspection. I think that on an individual basis, send our DMV guy, otherwise Scott Davidson does a wonderful job. Send him and some of the DMV people to get our opinion, see some of the bad frames, see some of the stuff. But I think you'd be more accurate than you would be having a meeting with 35 people.
I think there are people here listening tonight. Mm-hmm. We do have the chair of transportation in the House here, and the DMV commissioner and the deputy commissioner are here. So I think people are listening.
Good.
With that,